Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, welcome to New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Antonia.
And you've been leading the Interior Department for more than 2 years now. You've worked on a number of initiatives for American Indian and Alaska Native communities. Reflecting on your time so far, what has surprised you the most about the possibilities, but also the limitations of the job?
Well, I can't say that I was necessarily surprised, but I feel like, being in this position with such a wonderful team of people, leadership in the department, that we've been able to really get a lot done. I am grateful that President Biden is committed to Indian country. He made sure that all of us across the entire administration are committed to tribal consultation, robust tribal consultation. And I think that in and of itself has been one of the driving factors behind us accomplishing so much. It's making sure that tribes have a seat at the table. Alaska Natives, or Indian tribes in the lower 48, as well as Native Hawaiians, have a voice at the decision-making table, and I think that has helped us tremendously to accomplish so much.
And here in New Mexico, as New Mexico's representative, you were a vocal, active proponent for protecting the greater Chaco Canyon landscape here from oil and gas development. As Interior Secretary, however, the department's Honoring Chaco initiative has been widely criticized for not protecting the area enough. Are your hands tied at the department on this issue?
Well, I am very proud of what we have been able to do, withdraw minerals in a 10-mile radius around the National Historical Park. We feel that in and of itself will, that buffer zone will absolutely ensure that the cultural history that is in that park is protected. And that was really the focus of what we wanted to do.
And when you were here, there were some protests. Can you talk a little bit about the complexities of the checkerboard area?
Sure. Well, as we have said time and again, the withdrawal only covers federal land, so it doesn't touch any private land or allotted lands for any people living in the area. It's only a protection for federal lands. And of course, we had so many conversations across New Mexico with members of tribes, including the Navajo Nation, in various parts of New Mexico. We extended the public comment period so that folks had a chance to weigh in with their thoughts. We got over 100,000 comments, which is a lot. And we considered all of those perspectives as we were working on the withdrawals.
And we do have to ask about the investigation by the House Natural Resources Committee. Have you been interviewed about that?
I have not been interviewed by the House Natural Resources Committee.
Do you have anything to respond to allegations with the connection to the Pueblo Alliance?
Oh, sure. Well, of course, we have an ethics department at the we have an ethics office at the Department of the Interior. I follow every single ethics advice. I follow all the rules. I feel very confident that I have not breached any protocols or ethics recusals that have been placed on me. I am committed to ensuring that I do everything in the most ethical way. I feel, Antonia, I feel like I'm a role model for the younger generation, and certainly for, when I think about my nieces and nephews, all of those young Native folks who call me auntie, I feel committed to being a role model, and so I do everything in the best possible way I can.
Well, let's move on to your boarding school initiative that just wrapped up. Can you share a little bit about what you found so far?
In so many instances, folks have told us that they were reluctant to share a thing with their families, but felt it was time to finally say something about the experiences that they have had. We feel that is, that's healing for people. And that was the purpose of our Road to Healing, was to really start healing for the country. This is a history that all Americans share, not just Native Americans. And so ensuring that we are open and honest about the past history of this country has been really important to us. And I think overall, it's been a really good experience for everyone who has participated.
And how can your agency further healing efforts in tribal communities when it comes to boarding school and the impacts of boarding schools?
We're building some new schools. We're refurbishing some schools. We're making sure that Indian students have opportunities to learn in their own way. Additionally, we are looking forward to an oral history project. It will be housed with the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. And as I mentioned, Native American history is American history. And so we want to make sure that that information is open to our larger countries, so that people can learn. And it'll take a lot to heal, but certainly ensuring that we can help with things that Indian communities have lost during these assimilation policies, and namely, I should say, native languages. That was a topic that was so often reiterated around the country. And so we know that President Biden has been incredibly supportive of Native language preservation, and will continue with that as well.
And another important issue to you is missing and murdered Indigenous people. The Not Invisible Act Commission just released its recommendations. What stood out to you?
So, oh gosh, we're so, we worked on the Not Invisible Act Commission when I was a member of Congress. We felt very strongly that nobody can have all the answers, and this has to be a concerted effort. So we're proud that we were able to pass the Not Invisible Act during the time I was in Congress, and then now implement it while I'm Secretary of the Interior. We hope to respond to that, to those recommendations, and we'll just keep you informed as we move along. But Phil, missing and murdered Indigenous peoples is it's an issue that has been present here since colonization started on this continent. It's going to take more than a few pieces of legislation to remedy this really horrible these horrible events. And so we're going to keep working on it. You might know also that we have a missing and murder unit that we started in 2021 that increased investigations across the country. We have investigators housed in every region of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And we're putting concerted time, funding, and effort toward ensuring that we can solve these cases, that we can help families to heal in that respect as well.
And Secretary Deb Haaland, you've made history a few times here, of becoming a Native woman serving in Congress and also leading the Interior Department. As a Native woman leader, you had mentioned that you do feel responsibility. So what kind of responsibility do you feel for helping American Indian and Alaska Native communities as a woman leader?
Thank you. Well, when I ran for Congress in 2018, my slogan was, "Congress has never heard a voice like mine." The president decided that, and he promised that his cabinet would look like America. And so I feel like all of us recognize the value that differing perspectives bring to the decision-making table. When I do my Road to Healings, I start out saying this is the first time in history that a cabinet secretary has come to the table with the shared trauma of the people who were in the room. And so you know, my grandparents were they were survivors of the boarding school. We have on the Pueblo of Laguna and across the country, Indian tribes have lived by the decisions that the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the larger differing administrations have made for them. And so it's important that we have those voices at the table. And so in that respect, we have a large number of Native people serving at high governmental levels, at decision-making levels. Director Shelley Lowe from the National Endowment for the Humanities, for example. She's from the Navajo Nation. And so it's important that when you have those perspectives at the table, you know that folks will bring in their experiences, their knowledge, the things that they were taught by their grandparents. And I feel that when I am you know, making decisions for the department, I feel very strongly that that my perspective, my knowledge, my experience of my Pueblo and military upbringing influence the decisions I make, and so I think that's a good thing. Perspectives, differing perspectives, is important.
And Secretary Haaland, people across Indian country lovingly call you Auntie Deb or Auntie Deb. So what is next for you and your goals for American Indians and Alaska Native people leading the Interior Department?
Thank you so much. Well, we have, you know, we're so blessed to have the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act, and in fact, the various pieces of legislation that President Biden has signed into law. We're going to keep making sure that we can help tribes to realize this funding in the best ways possible for their communities. There are, you know, and I should also say, one of the things that I'm particularly proud of that we've done is we have helped tribes to enter into co-stewardship agreements with us, co-stewardship of our public lands. We have done 20 already. We signed the management opportunities for, in fact, for the National Bison Range over to the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes. There's a fish hatchery in Idaho that the Nez Perce tribe is managing now. Those co-stewardship opportunities will continue. We sign these agreements. Tribes help us with their indigenous knowledge, their traditional knowledge that will help to steward our lands. We have 60 more of those agreements in the works. And so I think making sure that we are managing our public lands, that's one of our big missions for the Department of the Interior, that it's an all hands on deck moment in this era of climate change that we'll be able to do some really wonderful things for the American people.
And before we let you go, happy Native American Heritage Month. What is your message? What would you like to tell the public?
Well, I appreciate that, Antonia. Look, you know, for so long, I know that tribes have struggled to be heard. You know, invisibility was really one of our worst enemies. We could, you know, we could say things, we could advocate for things. People wouldn't hear us. And I feel that now is our opportunity just to have our voices heard. And I'm so proud of the youth who have really taken their leadership positions seriously, working for the betterment of our environment, of our ecosystems, of our entire country. I want to encourage every Native youth to do whatever they can to learn their language. That their traditional languages are the most important thing that will connect them to their people, and into the future, teaching their children and grandchildren how to speak their languages. I think that's one of the best ways we can honor our ancestors.
Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, thank you so much for joining us on New Mexico PBS.
Thank you, Antonia.